All right, Grand Slam track. So they just announced that they have a broadcast partner, or they have broadcast partners. They're going to be working with CW Sports, which I'm be honest, I need to learn it. You probably could tell me a little bit about, but CW Sports, they're going to be streaming on Peacock, and then they're also going to have a little situation with NBC where they show some highlights. But this is what everyone has been waiting for because, all right, we saw all the athletes. We saw the Fred Curleys. We saw Melissa Jeffersons. We saw the Gabby Thomases, the Sydney McLaughlin We saw those top names who are signed on as racers. But how were we going to watch? And they finally actually announced it. So apparently, CW Sports is going to be the broadcast partner, where on Saturdays and Sundays, they're actually going to broadcast it on TV on CW Sports. But then the meet is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So on Peacock, they're going to stream it on all 3 days. So first off, I'm curious on your point, like on what you think. Is this a good move? Like, do you think they made the right move of going with these broadcast partners and like, people actually being able to watch Grand Slam track in 2025?
Well, I mean, when you say the right move, first we got to act as if, like, let's be real about what the landscape was. Because
Mm,
if we're having this discussion, because let's be clear, we're talking about a league that's going to give you this is what they're banking. This is what we can bank on.
hmm.
We can bank on Sydney McLaughlin Lavroni. You get to watch that, right?
Yes.
What else can we really sell? And I'm being honest. I'm being 100% honest. Because when we think about headliners, I mean, hey, I love Fred. I love Kenny. I love Oblique. I love these athletes. I love Melissa Jefferson. But I'm saying, like, who's the next biggest headliner besides Sydney McLaughlin Lavroni from like a world beater perspective?
It's only Sydney. Well, let me not say only. Like, same thing. I love all the other athletes, but I think right now Sydney and Gabby, those are like the top two in terms
Okay.
of American spending. Shout out to like I know they have Josh Kerr, right? Josh Kerr from an international perspective, I think
Okay.
he has a lot of pull, but Sydney, I think it's Sydney, and then there's a drop to Gabby,
From the
and
sprint
then
from the sprint group, yeah. Okay.
sprint group side,
So
right?
so for what the league is, then, like, what were the options? Well, for those who don't understand, or maybe you do, ESPN ain't an option. They ain't interested. FS1, I think they're too busy talking about football with like a talk show or something. So like, I mean, like when we say streaming and TV is in a different place now too. So like, I think what they
Yeah.
needed to do was make it accessible. They needed to get on TV, like make it an option where you could flip channels and land. And apparently CW Sports, well, we're saying CW Sports, but that's because CW as a network has been trying to figure out what they are.
Mm,
Like their app is now free, for example. It's been free for a while. Like their streaming app, there's no paywall. It's just you just go there.
yeah.
So with that, like shows that are on CW, the network, if you have cable, which a lot of people don't, but for those who do, those same shows are now just given out for free on that app, like with ads. So that said, I know they've been trying to make it accessible. I actually said going with like some type of well, they still don't have it like you still have to pay to watch it. Either you have to have a
Mm,
cable package, because I don't think CW Sports is its own network. If it makes
yeah.
sense, I think it's
Yeah.
just the CW and it's like sports on CW, kind of like
Yeah.
NBC is a network, but like sports is on there. And then the whole Peacock thing, well, it actually makes sense, but it makes sense for a different reason. So if it makes sense, but I'm saying like the Diamond League kind of played themselves by doing the whole flow track thing.
How so?
I mean, think about it. Like that was their spot. They were with Peacock and NBC. They
Yeah.
voided that spot for whatever the reason. So now the spot is been given to someone else.
Yeah, that's true. That's
And
true.
Peacock is just way more affordable and more accessible than FlowTrack. Because
Yeah.
for the record, FlowTrack, I'm gonna say the offensive part out loud. FlowTrack is so unaccessible. The FlowTrack is not even accessed as FlowTrack anymore. In case people didn't know,
Mm,
like I don't know all the details of the company, but I'm aware that Flow Sports is now the app, not FlowTrack. You have Flow Sports, and track and field is something that's a part of that larger app that sells other stuff or gives you other sport access to it.
mm.
So that's what I
Yeah,
mean by
it's
like Flow Track is not even Flow Track anymore in terms of like I paid for just that. So you're technically paying for more. It's just that they don't. A lot of the sports they offer are so niche down that it's rare that somebody's really going to be consuming like college wrestling
Mm.
and you know, track and field. Like it's just kind of they've baked it all into one app just for continuity purposes.
Yeah.
So
So
those are
it
the options.
sounds like at least because on Peacock, at least on the streaming side here for Grand Slam track, there is probably a lot of people who were paying for the Diamond League, for paying Peacock for the Diamond League in previous years. They may not migrate over to Flow Track because maybe when they had Peacock, they're also watching whatever other shows come with it, right? All these other shows and all these other things that kind of come with Peacock that, you may not get the opportunity to watch other places. But now they're coming over in 2025 and it's like, okay, wow. I used to watch the Diamond League here. I could just watch Grand Slam track and all my other shows that are still part of Peacock.
Oh yeah,
So it seems like
it's a
that is
more
going
than
to be,
viable replacement.
yeah.
If
So
you
that's
ask
going to
me.
be, I think it makes sense. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's smart that they covered with Peacock for the whole streaming and then CW Sports, for the broadcast and however they're going to be able to like get that out to fans. That makes a lot of sense. Because yeah, now if I'm a fan and I'm like, oh, I remember Sydney. I saw she won the gold medal at the Olympics last year. Let me try and find where I can watch her. At least I'll be able to find and it'll be at least
Oh yeah,
relatively accessible.
4 events on the calendar where you could watch the athletes who you want to watch.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
or like athletes who you'd want to watch. But that's why I also went back to the list where it's like, as far as like, because unfortunately, track we went over this. The A list, there's an A list, there's the B list, and there's the C list. And even the A list, I'm even going to make an edit. I'm like, are we going to be honest that like, okay, fine. If you win a world championship gold, do we still put you on the A list with the people who win Olympic gold?
Oh, you have to. Come on. Like you have to. Because if we're talking about that, then Fred Curley's not in A list. He has a world championship gold, but he
Again,
doesn't have an Olympic gold.
but remember, I'm not talking from the track fan perspective. I'm talking from the casual fan perspective only. Like, think like somebody who doesn't know track. Think like somebody who's still asking, like, hey, what are those things that they stand in when they run? They're called blocks. I'm talking about that person. Those are the same people watching the Olympics and driving up the view counts, driving up the attention. That's why the ratings are through the roof at that time. Which the goal for track to move forward, you have to make the people who actually enjoyed watching Olympic track have something else to watch that makes sense to them. I'm not going to back down from this point.
Mm,
So as a
mm.
result, because Fred wasn't in the front of the race in that, and Noah was, and he's not on Grand Slam. He's not signed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
Oof.
you get what I'm saying? I'm just for like the full continuity of like, trust me, I think the track fans we're rolling with it. That's what
It's
I'll
true.
say.
Yeah.
So it's a good deal
Yeah.
for that reason.
Yeah.
And the next thing is for it to grow, you've got to be able to now get that next, like that's where the growth is. The growth
Mm.
is not with the track fans. The growth is with the fringe track fans, of which there are many. There's a whole lot more of those than there are people who are actually like in the know. Because if you're watching us
Yeah.
talk right now, you in the know.
That's true. So, okay, so let's say because with CW Sports, they have a couple, sports properties where they have like ACC Sports, they have like Pac 12. I don't,
It's
I don't know. Is
but
Pac
it's
12
like
still a
select.
thing?
It's not even the ACC has a deal with ESPN. It's
They
like
have a deal.
it's
So
like
it's like
partial. It's not. It's like partial. It's not like
it's
they're
partial.
not showing
Yeah.
everything.
Not showing everything, but they also have like WWE with like NXT, they have
Yeah.
NASCAR, so it's like some partial things. Do we think that Grand Slam Track being partnered with CW, who has certain sports properties, is going to be a good thing for track and field? Like, are we going to be able to like potentially siphon some fans, similar to like on Peacock, where if someone's watching whatever TV show with Peacock and they might realize, oh wow, okay, Grand Slam Track is on here as well. I'll be able to like tune in
I
because I have the
mean,
subscription.
well, let's be honest. Let's go there. Let's keep it a buck. I mean, we might as well. I don't know how to stop. I have a Peacock subscription, and I only have it because I wanted to see track and field events. It's the only reason
Yeah,
I have it.
of course.
So the interface of these apps, just to clarify, is not set up that friendly. It's not like you can just
Mm.
stumble into it. I had to want to watch it.
It's true.
Does that make
Very
sense? I
true.
had to search. Like I had to click sports. Then I had to click all the way down and first find over the track and field. And then be like, okay, so when did it start? And then I had to click on it at the time that it was time to be watched.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
rewatch it there, but you got to really want to watch it if you're going to do a replay because all the videos get uploaded on YouTube anyway of the races.
Very
which is where
true.
most people are going to find it. So, with that in mind, like that side of the narrative isn't it. I think it's if you're there, if you're watching track and field on Peacock, it's because you wanted to. You didn't stumble into it. Where you're going to stumble into it is going to be on cable. That's where it
Yeah.
is.
And like you said, that's like kind of dying.
Yeah, you have to be you. The only other way to stumble into it would have to be. Well, I mean, that's why cable needs to survive in some form. But I think that new form is going to be more or less looking like the fast channel options, like your Plutos and your 2Bs as they continue to grow. Because 2B is going to be streaming the Super Bowl this year.
That's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
well, it might have already happened by the time this video gets out. But 2B, which is a free streaming platform, which is cross pollinated with Fox based on ownership,
Hmm.
is going to be streaming it out. Do you see what I mean by like you click on the 2B because I clicked on, and then they had a college basketball game that was a Fox property that they just brought over and said, hey, you can
Hmm.
click this now. That was stumbling. That
That's
was,
yeah.
I didn't come here for this. When I click into the app, they're just like, watch this if you want. And I'm like, you know what? I like sports. I'll click it. So that would be ideal if you could ever get to that point where you could really, if we're just talking about exposure, like these are the things that
Hmm.
there's somebody's job is to figure out how you get there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You get enough impressions. But I like the deal for where they're at for a league that's launching. Like, hey, we've got a way to watch it. It may not be groundbreaking and then doing something super brand new, but it's at the very least taking the baton from where we are. And I think that's why I say the Diamond League, in my opinion, they kind of messed up, at least with the American market. I
Yeah.
don't maybe they didn't care, but like for what the American market was, they essentially, in my opinion, you voided your space. Like you had real estate and it got voided. I don't know all the particulars of how the negotiation went or what have you, values back and forth. But if you're gonna tell me it's on cable, that's important because now they can stumble into it there, and then you're gonna tell me we can watch it elsewhere
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes
affordably,
sense.
relatively affordably.
Relatively affordably, right? And someone like you said, I'm looking for a star. I'm a casual fan. I'm looking for where is Sydney running? That's all I want to see. Or where is Gabby running? Because I saw them win the gold medal at the Olympics last year. How can I watch them in 2025? Now, at least on Grand Slam track, we're going to see them frequently. And it seems like it'll be relatively accessible, which is a good move for Grand Slam track and for something that they're looking long term. They want to be able to be sustainable as a league, maybe grow into something that's more of a league with like, you know, championship winners or team. Who knows what they actually might grow into. But if they want to do that, at least I think they're starting on the right foot so far.
And
But
and let's
yeah.
go back to this. Let's go all the way back to this. Remember we talked about the A list and the B list and all of that. This is
Hmm.
why this matters because now we're talking about if we're talking about Grand Slam and what are people going to actually be watching? Well, I think the A list concept. We again, it sounds harsh, but let's be very real about it. When we talk actors, name an A list actor here in America.
In
Denzel is
America,
the first one that comes
Denzel,
to
yeah,
mind,
that's who I
and
was
then
immediately
maybe
thinking
Will
of.
Smith, right? I think they're both A-listers.
Of
But here's why
course.
they're A-listers because you can now say this is a Denzel Washington film.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You get what I mean?
Oh
That's
yeah.
how we know it's an A-list. It's A-list where I don't need to know the name of the film.
Hmm.
We can just say Denzel's in it. And
Yeah.
now you have a population of people who are coming for that only one reason. They don't even know the plot. They
Yep.
don't know what it's about. Because then they'll do a bunch of different types of movies. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like they're so if you're not that big in track and field where we can just say we got Sha'Carri and she has a base that just comes
Hmm.
because she's there. So
Hmm.
like if you don't have that, you're not the A-list.
Yeah.
You're whatever after that. But there's a bunch of amazing actors who, if you watch films and shows or whatever, you might recognize. But they don't have a big enough draw where you can just say, we got him. Like you can't just say I
Yeah.
got Jonathan Majors. That's not gonna work. He might be a talented actor. I know he went through a bunch of stuff. I just see it's the first name that came to my mind. You just can't say that though and think that's the whole pitch. But we can pitch. I got Denzel,
Yeah, exactly.
and it
Exactly.
don't matter who else is here.
Yeah. And that's what even track fans, we do that a lot. Like, oh, Shakari's running. Like, I'm watching the meet, or I'm like tuning into this meet, right? Or
Or at
Sydney's
least
running.
that like we want to know when.
We know we exactly we start looking
Yeah.
for it, but
Because even when Kashane ran in Jamaica, I was on the live stream. That's exactly what
yeah,
people were asking.
yeah,
And is Kashane running?
yeah,
So in that community, it was clear there was an A-list. There was a
yeah,
okay, there's stuff happening, but when is what I came to see gonna be what I get? So Grand Slam, I think, has a great track and field product. Again, compared to the thing that makes Grand Slam's product special in the current landscape is that I'm supposed to be able to bank on something now.
mm,
It's not. It doesn't feel like we were just talking about Melrose, and I asked like Shelly Ann Fraser Price. She was supposed to run. Now she's not. My
yeah,
point. You see what I'm saying? Where it's
yeah.
like we don't know what we about to watch. I'm just going to tune in to the Melrose games, and I'm going to see who's on the line.
Right.
That's how it's going to go. Like I don't know who's going to be running. I couldn't tell you that.
No, it's
So
a good point.
Grand Slam gives you that like, and because also the names are big enough, whether they're A, B, whatever, they're all A, B list names for the most part. Maybe a few, I guess we want to call it a C list name, where like maybe you don't have like a world championship, you know, or Olympic medal individually yet, but you're still right up there. I think all the names are
Hmm.
those names. So it's all. I think the thing about that product is that I'm curious what this whole challenger thing is going to look like.
Yeah,
Like who's coming to the line?
yeah,
Is Noah
that
coming
would
to the
be
line?
interesting.
Because I'm expecting, I'm like, I wanted to see him as a racer, but at the same time, like, I think they have enough there where
Well,
you,
do they? I mean, you just said Fred, Kenny, Oblique, Zarnell. They're not A-list, or not to say they're not A-list, but like
that
you know,
Fred and Kenny are right up there.
they're up there.
They're at that second cut in terms of like, again, the track community, they're A list. I'm talking about the
The others.
for like, because again, the track community expands the moment you get the casuals to fold in.
Hmm. So is in that men's sprint group that they have, do they have someone like the women's hurdles group has with a Sydney?
No.
So then they need, it sounds like they need Noah then. I mean, and like, and it's not to disparage because obviously to us, like Fred, a world champ, like come
But
on,
the
world
track
champion.
community is fine. But Lasile was the next one.
Yeah.
He was the next one that those were the two names because they're the two gold medalists from what we just saw in Paris.
Hmm.
Where if you had those names, because see now, if no, here's the thing: if Noah comes to the track, how do we put it? What does Noah get? I want to see him come. I mean, I've already said that. But
Of course.
what does he get by coming in terms of narrative?
Well,
Because he beat all those guys already.
yeah.
If Latsile is there and he runs against him, you see how, oh, this
Mm,
is a revenge match from the
yeah.
Olympic final.
Yeah.
You
That's
see how
that
the
makes
narrative
sense.
twists. Whereas now it's like, oh, I already beat y'all in terms of the narrative. I'm just
Hmm.
coming to show that I'm still in front.
That makes sense. That makes
So it's
sense.
a very different type of setup in terms of the back and forth.
Yeah. And of
But
course, there's a lot of risk where it's like
and
if he loses,
yeah,
then
well,
you
anybody
know.
who's not Noah has no reason to. If you're not Noah or Latsile, you have no reason to not go. If Grand if Grand Slam calls you and you're not either of those men, you had better go. That's what I would say. Because I'm not going to name drop. They are not calling some of these guys who I put on my never fast list and things like that's not who's getting calls. And from what I understand, I don't expect to see the athletes who run unattached and show up at Olympic trials.
Mm.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm expecting to see like when we see Jamaica, the Jamaica race, I'm expecting maybe I get a Keem Blake in there.
well, yeah, yeah, of course, of course, of
Maybe not
course.
Kashane, but
No, yeah, of course. Well, we need to see some of those Jamaicans like
like
in a King
that's
Blake.
what I would
Yeah,
love to see. Like and I feel like that's a realistic ask. The guy who won the
yeah,
Diamond League final, I think he deserves to be on a Grand Slam track line, right?
of course, of course. And then that also gives fans an opportunity to say, okay, I actually want to tune in, or actually, okay, I want to whatever sign into and get a Peacock subscription to be able to like watch my, whatever athlete I'm looking forward to there. That will give, some more reason for people to actually tune in and watch. Because even I'll say, like, I'm excited for Grand Slam track, but obviously I'm a track fan. Great, they got this broadcast deal, but are people going to tune in to watch? That's still
Hey,
a big question.
I think they'll my early projection is that whatever
Hmm.
numbers the Diamond League was doing, they'll at least give you that.
They'll give you that.
At least. I think it'll do better, honestly. But and the reason it'll do better because the Diamond League, we didn't know what we were tuning into.
Mm,
We were just flipping races on, hoping that somebody was going to be in it.
yeah.
Like that's how it was going. Because you definitely had some fields where, again, only real track and field fans knew what they were watching.
Yeah.
And now you got it like now it's like, hey, if I like track and field, if I watch the Olympic trials with real intention, I'm gonna notice people. Like
Yeah.
that's a foregone conclusion. If I paid attention to the Olympic trials, if I paid attention to the Olympics, there's gonna be people here whose faces I saw,
Yeah. That's a
and
big thing.
that's worth tuning into. So I mean, when I evaluated the deal, I was just like, well, what were the alternatives? Because like if this is about as good as it was gonna get, because ESPN don't have the shelf space to put you. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of bad ESPN deals, and I'll say that as far as like college sports conferences that set up ESPN deals to send content there that nobody's going to watch anyway, because everybody's want to watch Alabama or whatever else. It's like just being on it doesn't mean anything. You got
I
to be
mean,
on it in a way where you
yeah.
can be shown to the top, and that's
I'll
why
be
some people went to Flow Sports. For the record, there are conferences that
mm,
went there because the CAA in D1 was not going to get any rotation on ESPN.
yeah.
But now they become a premium product because there's very few D1 conferences that signed with Flow Sports.
That's true. I was gonna say, and this is like all due respect, because obviously I really I like the meet, I like the competitions they put on, but we did see the ATL. They were on ESPN, like the that American Track League. They were on
Okay.
ESPN for like I think a while, but it's not like they were getting pushed. It's not like ESPN did something massive where they were pushing out, all these American Track League meets. Again, all due respect, it wasn't an actual track league. It was just meets that were kind of like
Yeah.
professional meets. But to the point, they were on ESPN, but it's not getting on ESPN and then all of a sudden you're just like this massive thing that everyone is watching. It takes
Yeah.
it's
Well,
different. It's
the
different.
American Track League, there like we can say this without being harsh. It's just being very factual that they could not they failed to deliver on the current state of the sport.
Hmm.
The current state of the sport, like it's all about personality. It's all about the matchups. It's all about the faces. And the American Track League just flat out doesn't deliver that.
Yeah. True, true, true,
Like I'm
true.
not even going to comment on anything else other than that one component. That I don't remember ever watching an American Track League race and seeing athletes who I expected to see all the way in the front at the World Championships. And that's on the words expected to see. I did see athletes who would show up to like an Olympic trials or USA's who were in the final. Like I saw some of them. And when I say
Yeah.
expect, and matter of fact, I won't even say expected. Some of these were people who were going to be in that final,
Yeah.
but maybe weren't expected to be there. Maybe they gave you that. That's why I think it's not a one-to-one
Yeah.
comparison, but the
That's
Diamond
fair.
League is because they're giving you their endeavor is to give you Gabby
The
Thompson.
best of the best. Yeah,
They
exactly.
the Continental Tour even like like that's another option that like kind of lets you know kind of like some of what which it's hard to distinguish what's Continental Tour and Diamond League for the average person, but
Yeah. And I mean, Continental Tour is a whole different thing. It's not even, they don't even have that on at least US TV in any capacity. It's like Diamond League, that's the one that's on, or at least was on Peacock, NBC. Now it's moved over. And I think it makes sense where, in a sense, Grand Slam track is taking that spot. And it's like potentially going to capture those viewers who weren't diehard track fans, but maybe were they watched the Diamond League at some point before. Maybe they watched one or two, and they're like, "Oh, I still have my Peacock subscription. Let me check out Grand Slam Track." But
yeah.
also, I do think a lot more people are going to join in to Grand Slam Track to watch because of all the people that they're bringing in
If
as well.
but as we close, I gotta say this part. I don't think the Diamond League is ever coming back to Peacock if this works, which I
Oh yeah,
expect it
nah,
will. I think
yeah,
that's
I
them.
agree.
That's the end.
I agree.
Like they're stuck on flow track now until that, if and when that works out or doesn't work out, at which point we'll be streaming that, just like the rest of the world, which has access to it without having to go through that paywall, which is a whole
Yeah.
other discussion for another day. Because I just found out that we was paying for stuff that other people wasn't.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
That was
There's
a whole, yeah. That's another conversation. But
nah.
hey, Grand Slam track is coming back. Grand Slam track is coming out.
It's coming out. It's
It feel like
kicking
it's
off.
coming back because we've been hearing about it for a while.
I know. It's kicking
And
off. It's
I'm
kicking off.
excited now to hey, I got a subscription. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we gonna be watching, so it's gonna be good.
My name is Anderson from The Final Leg.
And I'm Coach Rob from SCA Track and Field. And thank you for watching this segment from The Finish Line.
If you want to know what's really going on at the high school and college level, be sure to subscribe to Coach Rob Track and Field.
And if you want more content on the best track and field athletes in the world, be sure to subscribe to The Final Leg.